Welcome back to Unrendered. I'm chatting with Senator Sinclair Leacock, the Major. Senator Leacock, welcome.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me, Senator, why do they call you the Major?
Well, you know, the guys who began calling me Major most, ironically enough, have been the guys around football, Maury Millington, Guy Lowe, Tweety Spence and company. But that had its history. They saw me when I was president of football at that time, functioning in a leadership capacity with, I suspect, some military background in the way I approach things, you know. But my title of Major really comes from my association with the military or paramilitary in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
So is it a bona fide title?
It's a bona fide title. I, in fact, was promoted to the rank of Major by the late Honorable Milton Cato.
Okay.
And I think that came a little after the 1979 Soufre eruption when he was so pleased with my performance in that exercise. You know, I was a commandant of the cadet force, having grown through the ranks, lieutenant, captain, and then major. And then I had a second stint with the military when I served with the auxiliary police force as commandant from the period, I think, 93 to 2001. So I've had two bites at the cherry. I have a strong military background, as is fairly well known. Having trained in the region, Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, Jamaica, a diploma in civil defense from the Venezuelan Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
And I have a qualification in the 4th Battalion Royal Canadian Regiment. So I am homegrown in the military.
So you're quite a military man indeed.
My background is.
Okay. You're going to do battle in the Central Kingston constituency. You did it in 2005. You're about to do it again. Tell me what qualifies you. What would you like to tell the people that qualifies you to be a good candidate for the Central Kingston constituency?
Well, my experience in this matter now tells me that the first requirement to be a good candidate is about representation. A lot of people think about politics in terms of ministerial politics. And if you check my service record, it is really one of service to country. And I mean, I can adumbrate those. I mean, as I said, I came up as a scout, a cadet. I served in the Rotary for some time. I had my experience as the president of the Employers Federation, the Chamber of Industry and Commerce. I eventually joined the political party, and I am now at a position of vice president. And so my life story has been really one of being service before self and country first. So it's no surprise that I have been in this position as I am today.
Did you grow up in the Central Kingston constituency?
I actually was born in an area called Nanton Yard Up Street, which is today East Kingstown. Okay. But I moved at an early age, 5, 6, 7, thereabout, to what is now called West Kingstown. That's the New Montrose Walker Peace area. And I'm in fact contesting in Central Kingstown. So I'm a Kingstown man.
So you're a Kingstown man.
I'm a Kingstown man.
Tell me, Senator, you, apart from your military background, I know I think you're qualified in management, and I think you've taught Spanish. You're quite a diverse guy. You've been involved in the Football Federation as well for a number of years. Well, it's the Football Federation I want to ask you a few questions about, because there are some things that seem to be hanging over your head, and I think maybe you can use the opportunity of this program to clear those up. In the 2005 general elections, it was said that some Tommy Hilfiger T-shirts were procured by you or by your organization for the Football Federation. Yes. But then they appeared as your collateral in the Central Kingston constituency, collateral for you to help you campaign. Is there any truth to this allegation?
No, I think there's been much ado about nothing. As a matter of fact, I recall during the 2005 elections, Tom Hilfiger was supposed to come to St. Vincent and we should have been having legal action and so on and so forth. I mean, the Tom Hilfiger jerseys came about from an initiative that I took, inspired in a sense by Randy D. And it was not the property of the Football Federation per se. In fact, there have been so many Tom Hilfiger jerseys around. I don't know who haven't had them. I've given them to Blondie Bird. I've given them to the prisoners.
But how were they procured? Was the people who were given them on Tommy Hilfiger's behalf?
We did not purchase them. I made a request for them, and they were given to me.
To you personally or to the Football Federation?
They were not given to the Football Federation. They were given to me to be used to assist football and any other activity. And in fact, I've used them for so many social functions and civic events. So many groups have benefited. Sports and in culture, it isn't funny. In fact, a number of people have taken them to sleep in them.
Yeah. But did they really appear as part of your collateral for the campaign?
But if I was in a position that I could give them to you, and to, as we would say in local language, to Tom, Dick, and Harry, which I did, what was so ridiculous about me using some of them for myself? I still don't see the contradiction.
Well, I see the contradiction because if the T-shirts or the jerseys were procured and the people who were given them thought that they were giving them to the Football Federation, maybe they would not have been so generous if they knew they were giving them to you. So I think that's where the conflict is.
Well, we beg to differ, and it's not something I'm going to spend a lot of time here this evening.
Let's move on to another point with the Football Federation. I understand that there are some Finter T-shirts, jerseys again, that are replicas of the uniform. They have the Football Federation logo on them. And apparently they keep popping up when there's a tournament. They're sold privately. But yet they were procured under your watch for the Football Federation.
With whose funds?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I'm asking you.
No, they're all my funds.
So you bought those T-shirts?
Totally, absolutely. Football Federation has no idea of how they was procured. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit unfortunate because I haven't heard from my party stint, Mr. Frederico Opont, a Haitian. I believe he may have perished in that Haiti earthquake. If anybody has been hard done by that exercise, it will be that gentleman, you know. But the Football Federation has been the beneficiary of so much generosity. I mean, you speak
so
about...
you've actually taken your funds to buy...
As of today, as we speak at this very interview, $60,000 of my personal securities are still being held at the Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, RBTT, because it has been my security that has repeatedly used to assist football through its difficult and financial years. And I've been encouraged by the bank to take legal action to recover my funds because of the indebtedness that football has to me. I would say that in total over the period of time that I've served in football, not once, not twice, not 3 times, I've had to use my own personal office, my personal resources, funds, my assets, the property at Town Hill, to stand security for football, write checks from my business places to send football teams away. People don't see or hear these things, but this is not new to me. Even during the days when, for example, you were a cadet, I remember people like B.T. Marksman and Osman Crichton myself will feed a whole camp and buy bread. I said that in a political meeting last evening. This will be my life, generous to the core, and sometimes it turns back to be your undoing.
So these allegations about you benefiting from the Football Federation
has no basis. In
resources, has no basis.
In fact, they should be thanking me.
They should be.
They should be thanking me, yes.
There's another matter, and the reason why I'm asking these questions, Senator, is you're presenting yourself as a candidate, and we are looking at ethics and integrity, basically, and that's why I'm popping these questions at you. You also have in your arsenal, you've been a manager, and that's one of your life experiences.
I am still a manager.
And a good manager, as you would claim.
A professional manager.
Right. There is another issue with the Football Federation I want you to clear up for me. The Football Federation purchased land or property in the Harbour Club vicinity.
Good.
Right? And there was an issue. It was purchased under your watch again. There was an issue that the land did not have proper title. And you and your management team went ahead knowing this. In fact, you were advised by your lawyers that not to proceed because there was not proper title for the land. But you went ahead and did that. Is that true? And if it is, what part of good management is that?
It's not true. You know, sometimes life has stories that some people are able to cover behind shades that are provided for them. Let me give you some background to that whole exercise. It was brought to our attention. I believe one Maxim Jim would have had a role in this exercise as well. And I think it may have been by Molly Arthur, who was in fact doing the sale of the lands, that the new football was trying to build a home and these lands were available. And that information came to us. I think the sale price for the land was about $120,000.
Okay.
To purchase those lands using the FIFA funds, you first had to make a down payment on the land. But you couldn't do that with the FIFA funds. So the first thing that we had to find was a mechanism in which we could make that down payment. I think it's about 10%. And we had to use what we call local counterpart funds. And that was done to hold the sale of the lands, as it were.
Yes.
Because this was supposed to be a steal of a deal. We then subsequently got the permission of the FIFA to buy the rest of the lands for $120,000 or thereabout. The lawyers retained were the firm of S.K. Johnson, Starkey John, my very good friend, who was retained to purchase those lands.
Mm-hmm.
It was represented to me and to the Football Federation that the owners of the lands was the gentleman Bailey who owned the Magic Clean building. And Mr. John did his research and in fact advised that we could proceed to purchase the land. And I'm not going to allow people to hang me out to dry.
But that's not what I hear.
Well, I'm giving you the story.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to make myself to be a scapegoat in these circumstances. I'm too much in my wisdom years to allow this now, you know. And after the due diligence was done, payment was effected to the gentleman, Mr. Bailey, through the bank. What subsequently turned out, it appears to be, and the solicitors for the gentleman was the firm of Mr. Carl Glasgow. What subsequently turned out was that one of the owners of the land, that a signature was forged. Okay? And I recall distinctly, Mr. John, on one of his trips to the United States of America, in consultation with me, in fact, we had three-way conversations with that, trying to get that party to give a legitimate signature to the deal. And he said then, look, for you to get my signature, I'm going to require an additional $50,000 payment on the land, because he didn't think he got anything out of the original 120. And I'm going to use the word Starkey, persuaded me that we should go along with it. And basically, I had no problem, because I think even if we had gone up now from 120 to $170,000, we were still getting a great deal.
So, Senator, you're telling me that the firm of S.K. John never advised you not to proceed because of the problem with the title?
You see,
I just want to make that clear.
No, no, they never advised us not to proceed.
Okay, good.
But legal documents were subsequently provided to give the chambers certain levels of protection. I'm going to leave my language in that way. But never for one moment the impression was conveyed that the Football Federation was being reckless in the purchase of the land. And I'll say this to you, because the same firm came back subsequently, and I regret that I have to say it, but I need to clear my name to say, you know what, Major? The advice that I gave you 3 years ago, under which football could acquire the land, is the same advice that the Football Federation has now to take to get that land. But it has cost them $60,000 more than had they done it at the time that I advised you. So in the end, what the Football Federation did to acquire the land was exactly what I was doing.
So it is.
But by that time, the guy obviously began now to get a better appreciation that this land was being given away, and that he could push the Football Federation back to the wall. And it's my information that they paid $60,000 more than would have happened at my time. So my suspicion that they probably paid $230,000. Well, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm saying the remedies were as advised then, and what I proposed to do, and what eventually was done to acquire the lands.
Well, it seems to me is that the counterclaim is that they paid more money to get the whole thing out of the mess, because they inherited a mess. And in order to close the deal,
I don't think that is the case.
They had to it cost them more money.
I think what we're saying,
and to avoid litigation, I don't know if it went to litigation.
Tony, is that football is unfortunately being caught up in the politics. At the time when I was removed from the Football Federation, it was a whole political exercise. The whole country knows that now. I lost by a single vote.
Okay.
Several of the clubs that came to vote for me no longer exist today. Monies from the National Lottery was pumped into the teams that voted against me. I can speak with authority.
So you're saying your removal from the Football Federation was political?
Well, I not only say that the Prime Minister has admitted to that at the funeral of the late Larry Bascom. At that funeral, they asked to bury the hatchet. He referred to when the deceased Larry Bascom came to his office.
Sinclair, I have to hold it there. We ran out of time in the first segment. Okay, so let's just hold that there. You're looking at Unrendered. My guest is Senator the Major Sinclair Leacock. When we come back, more with the Major.